So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me on the banks of the River Dane and we're out back exploring for those chub on the banks of this beautiful river. Yesterday I was on the banks of the River Ribble and had a fantastic session for chublets and dace that will either already be on the channel or in the channel in the next couple of weeks. But as you can see on screen, an excellent day's fishing. On that session I really did use hemp really predominantly in my fishing, so it does mean I've got a lot of maggots left. It's a Sunday morning, I have had a bit of a lie-in and we're on the bank about 10 o'clock in the morning and we're going to fish till around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just explore a couple of swims. So on the channel you do see me catching quite nice nets of chub at times. What I'm hoping to do in these videos is just to show the groundwork that does go in before that. And today we're out again, only a short session, but we're going to explore a few more swims and just see if we can find those chub. So I was on the banks of the Ribble yesterday and it was a busy day like you've seen, but travelling light today, and I say lightish because in there we've got me whip, me 8 metre whip and me 17-foot rod that we definitely won't be using today. But I've just grabbed these two bits of tackle and headed out. In there I've got me landing net, me keep net, me bait waiter and everything that I'm going to need, and the terminal tackle, you know, for the few hours fishing, and obviously my rod was in there as well. Them were both full at the start of yesterday, and you can see there I've used about 2.5 pints of hemp, and I've probably used about half a pint of maggot. So we've got plenty of maggots today for these chub, and we can really attack a couple of swims. So the first swim of the day, we've got a lovely bit of covered upstream. As I say, it is only a short session today, so we're targeting swims where hopefully we can get a quick bite. We've got a load of cover there, and it's a pity we can't get an upstream to trot down to this. We've got a lovely bit of water here. You see, nice even pace. Down. We've got a sunken tree downstream down there. It's just got to hold fish, and then we've got a load of noise further down where fish could hold and be safe. So yeah, I can say it's only a short session today, so we're just hoping to get some hit and hold bites. To begin with, I'm going to feed really heavy because, like I say, I'm after an instant reaction, so I want these fish to see bait going in and instantly be on it. You know, it's not a swim where we're going to be spending an hour to get a bite, but after a quick reaction. The setup for today is this 13-foot cordon glide, and it has been a godsend. It's always set up in the car and ready to go. It splits down nice and evenly into 3 sections, so it is always set up. Team that up with a cordon switch reel, and on there I've got 4-pound 4-ounce line. There isn't much pace at all on the river today. It is low and clear, so we've just got a nice little light float that we're going to be using a crystal stem at the bottom because obviously it is gin clear the water, so you just want something nice and clear. We've got a bulk shot of Dinsmore weight down to a 2-pound 6-ounce hook link and a tiny size 18 hook. While I've been just doing this little bit of the intro, just been, you know, putting a few maggots in, just drip feeding them in. So the pace on this swim is just past halfway. You can see how slow the maggots are falling and how much we can see. And then we've got a lovely long trot all the way down. So into the first fish, and this swim I just knew had to hold something. I don't think it's Mr. Chub that we were looking for, but it's looking like a grayling. But I just knew that this swim had to hold fish. It just had everything about it. So anyone that's tried to hold a grayling know how bad it is. So I'm not going to hold him up. What a lovely little fish that is. You see all the colours in his gills, the purples if he keeps still. And what a lovely fish. Not Mr. Chub that we're hoping for, but an excellent little start. So that fish was out of the water for what, 15 seconds? And that is what they do when they go back, so that's why you got to rest them. And anyone new, don't be worried if that's what happens with a grayling. It's exactly what they do. And in a moment it'll flip over. There you go, you see. And there you go. You see there, gone back perfectly well. But don't be fooled by Mr. Grayling. And this one is playing ball. He's been nice and well behaved. But what a lovely grayling that is. Beginning to tense up a little bit now, like they always do. But just look at those lovely colours. Beautiful. So we've been in the swim for about 20 minutes now since we had them grayling and we've not had a bite. And I would think if Mr. Chub was about, we'd have had him. It's a beautiful looking piece of water though, and one we'll definitely have to come back and explore again. And what a lovely little bit of water that looks like. Getting down to it though will be an absolute nightmare, and you've always got to be careful because you can guarantee in the floods This bank here, we can see there a little crack. It's most definitely going to be undercut. But yeah, how chubby does that look? And it just shows the type of water that I'm looking for. Deep, dark, even and slow. So although a bit of an impromptu session and discovery, part of today's session was always to come back in this swim. But I can't help feeling I'm following in someone else's footsteps today. There was peel in the last swim and there's peel in this one. So they definitely like oranges. And unless there's a couple of orangutans on the Dane, then it's definitely going to be an angler. And you can just see how the ground is disturbed there, and there's a bank stick hole. So if not today, then maybe yesterday somebody else has been on the swim, which is not a bad thing. It means there's a bit of food going in here regular. And yeah, now we know this is an area where we've had chub, so the way I approach it is stealthy, be a bit sat back, not walking on this bit of the bank here where we're hoping to get the bites. But we do know that there are chub here, so already you can begin to see how we can keep coming back to this area and just begin to build a picture. So this swim is a little easier because we do know a little bit about it already. A beautiful bird there just landed on that branch, and it is lower than last time because it's not going over that branch there this time, so it's definitely a bit lower. It might mean there's not as much pace here, might make it a bit harder, but I'm just going to feed underneath that branch there because the maggot's going to go underneath and down that middle bit of the river, and that's where we're hoping to get the bites. So on the fourth trot down, we've hooked into Mr. Chub, and yeah, I didn't get the camera on straight away because we've had one hell of a tussle. He was right over there, and yeah, that's what you want to see today. The white lips of Mr. Chub breaking the surface. It just shows how the early sessions last week, you can come in here and it's pretty reliable now. We know there's one or two chub about and we can get a bite. And like I said last time, the river is clear, so numbers of chub is highly unlikely because this fish is going to be fighting in the flow and spooking the other fish. But on a short session, it just backs up again that this is a good area to get bites and lovely to get a bend in the rod. So I have popped the keep net in and say it's only a short session, but I'm a great believer if you want to get the best out of it, then you've got to put them in a net, just not to spook the shoal. I'm away from the swim and I've done all the talking away from the swim. It was down there we got him, so yeah, hopefully we can pick up one or two. Like I say, with the water so clear, a big hit is highly unlikely. And we've hooked into the next fish, and it's definitely not a chub. It's one of those little grayling again, it looks like. And what a lovely fish again, the lovely colours and a grayling. So while we're sat here just feeding the swim after that grayling, it is a lesson in it, isn't there? When Mr. Chub's not there, other fish do move in. But when Mr. Chub's about, nothing else gets a look in. And on rivers in the past where there's been dace and roach and chub, that is how it always happens. You normally start getting dace, roach, and then it's like a pike's in the swim and it's just died. And that is when you know Mr. Chub's about. And that is how the River Dane used to be. And your experience would be that you'd come in, you'd get dace, roach, and then when it went quiet, that's when you got excited. It is just beautiful being sat here on the bank, nice and quiet. You can just hear the odd pheasant, and we've had a buzzard go over. The trees are starting to bud on the far bank. Change is most definitely coming. And after a long river season, I'll just play a couple of the highlights now of the season as it's been, because it has been an enjoyable season on the bank.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself.
The people who you share the bank with, as I've got older, I've realised are just as important as the fish in the net. And in Mark, in Azza, in Gary, and the other Gary who we go piking with, we've got some excellent mates who we share the bank with. Towards the end of the season, I did share the bank with Simon Ashton, who is the record dace holder, and we've had some fantastic sessions with him as well. So yeah, it is about who you spend time on the bank with, most definitely. And in this last season, I've spent it with some amazing people. And we could be in a bit of trouble here. We've hooked into a chub, and it just feels a bit bigger than what we've hooked before. Either that or it's just got a bit more spirit. And it's definitely pulling. It's going to be a test of this setup, most definitely. It's definitely going to be testing it. He's gone for that tree twice. And he's down there somewhere at the moment. You can see there. Oh, it is a nice one. You can just see that tiny little maggot on top of his lips. And that is the beauty of February. He's going to go for this inside bank. I think I need to stop talking and try and get him in. So that tussle was worth all the effort getting out here this morning. And he's going to have a rest down there when I have a bit of a rest. He had me all over the swim. I did admittedly go a bit dangerous. I went probably just past halfway. And that is the fine margins of chub fishing. So it's very rare on the River Dane that I get the scales out to weigh a fish. But £4 1 ounces, it's a clonking chub, and just shows what you can get in on a light setup. And well worth the effort today, getting out, even just a short amount of time, but what a result. Buzzing with that capture, really am over the moon. And with regards to the swim now, the river is low and clear, and I would love to come on this swim with just a tinge of colour. When it's got that bit of colour to it, it will give the fish confidence, and when you hook one, it kind of hides, I think, where they are in the swim to stop the rest of the show spooking. That fish was all over the place, trust me. It was going for the trees, it was going for this tree, me bank, as you've seen on the video. So yeah, it will have spooked any fish that were down there, but I am going to persevere with it. So the weather is most definitely on the turn, and it's icy cold wind has just blown through. And I was on the verge of just thinking about a nice warm hot chocolate at home, and the float has buried again with chub number 3. Over the last half an hour there's definitely been a drop in temperature, and you can hear the wind maybe on the camera coming through, and that is the wind of change, most definitely. There is a change of weather coming this week. We've got some snow maybe and a real drop coming, and maybe that's why these chub are hard on the feed. The third chub of the day from this swim, one happy angler. So whether it is this just changing cloud cover or the drop in temperature, we've gone straight back in and hooked another one. There are limits to obviously what you can get in on this setup, you know, with light lines and small hooks. But as long as it's balanced, you know, the rod's got a bit of power to it, your reel is set right, so if the fish does go, it just ticks over nicely. You can get some nice fish out. Chub number 4, and this swim I knew had potential. It's got a bit of depth, and yeah, with a bit of clearness today, maybe it is that cold that has put these fish on the feed, or is it just that a shoulder chub has moved up during the session? So that does bring the session to an end there now, and I did plan on trying a couple of swims in this short session, but I have to admit I did get lured in by this one. Ever since I've seen it, I knew it had huge potential, but as you can see on screen now, getting those 4 lovely chub, and one of them being over £4, proper made up. I really do hope these recent videos on these short sessions, searching for new fish, has really helped some of you guys out, and has shown the amount of effort that does go into the channel to produce those videos every Friday consistently. You have to get out there and do the groundwork to get the results. And as you can see here, we found a swim that I think can produce better results as well. I really do hope you have enjoyed the session today. I'm leaving a super happy angler, and I really hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave it a like, and all that remains to say is to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing, and I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.